What's up guys, my name is Aaron Jackson. Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you guys had a great Labor Day weekend. I'm glad you can stop by. So personally, I've been investing into the stock market over the past couple of years, and I've invested into things such as general stocks, growth stocks, dividend stocks, and even ETFs or exchange traded funds. But I'll be honest with you guys, in my personal opinion, SPACs or special purpose acquisition companies have been one of the riskiest investments that I've made. They say that it's really beneficial when you invest into a company on the ground level because yes, it can be very risky, but the reward can be really significant. But when it comes to SPACs, I see it as investing kind of below the ground because for one, you may not necessarily know what company that SPAC is trying to acquire via reverse merger. You also don't know how the price of that stock is going to react upon announcing that merger, nor do you know how that company that they're reverse merging with is going to do in the future. But with any stock, let alone a SPAC, I think it's really reassuring when you hear positive feedback about what the company plans on doing in the near future or in the foreseeable future, especially when it's coming from the CEO. So pretty recently, California hosted the ACT EXPO and involved a lot of different companies and their executives and their CEOs. And one of those CEOs and one of those companies was Hyliion and Thomas Healy. And throughout the expo, Thomas Healy presented a new vehicle and detailed a lot of things that the company plans on doing. And honestly, from the clips that I saw, shout out to JMac Investing, by the way, because I watched his recent video that had the clips of the expo because I unfortunately missed it. It made me even more excited about investing into the company over the course of the long term. And my thought process about that is a little bit different than what it once was. So with that being said, by the end of this video, we're gonna go over what exactly the ACT Expo is for those of you guys that don't know, because I was one of those guys. We're gonna go over what Thomas Healy presented, which is the Hybrid EX, and then I'll give you guys my personal opinion about this investment in a long-term perspective and how it's kind of changed since I saw the details from this expo. So let's not waste any time. Let's get started. So for starters, the ACT Expo is the Advanced Clean Technology Expo that takes place every year in California, and it gives companies the opportunity to showcase their clean energy technology products and stand in front of a panel of people and answer questions that pertain to them and their company. And I see it as a really beneficial thing, especially for vehicle companies, because not only are you reaching out to owners of fleets of vehicles and based off the information you present to them, potentially swaying them to go with you, but you're also reaching out to investors and potential investors to not only put more money in, but to actually invest into you for the first time based on the information you provide for them. So I really think it's a cool thing for those reasons. Now, as I've said before, there were many companies presenting and showcasing their new products in this expo, and one of those companies was Hyliion Holdings, being represented by their CEO, Thomas Healy. Now, Thomas said some pretty reassuring things during the Q&A, but I'm gonna get into that a little bit later on towards the end of this video. But in the meantime, let's talk about the new product or the new technology he unveiled, which is the Hybrid EX. So if you guys have been watching my previous Hyliion videos, first of all, I recommend you watch them. And also throughout those videos, I've talked about the reasons why I invested into Hyliion in the first place, even back when I invested into the Tortoise acquisition SPAC before they reverse merged with Hyliion. And those reasons were how Hyliion is actually approaching the solution of clean energy when it comes to Class 8 vehicles. We know that one of the options is their fully electric Hypertruck ERX, which takes renewable natural gas and converts that with a generator into electricity. Their other option is something that I've always said I was really interested in because I don't think I've ever heard of any other type of vehicle Class 8 company or any type of electric vehicle company doing something relative to that. And that was their hybrid components. So these products that include an e-axle, batteries, and the display screen that goes inside the vehicle to check on those components and many other components that it comes with can actually be put onto the majority of Class 8 vehicles, and they can convert those from diesel vehicles to hybrid electric vehicles. And I thought that idea was really cool. It could save those fleets a lot of money in the long term. With that being said, Thomas Healy and Hyliion did present their new upgraded version of these components called the Hybrid EX. And even though I've never driven a Class 8 vehicle, I personally appreciated the enhancements that they made in comparison to what they recently had, and I'm sure a lot of people that have driven Class 8 vehicles or semi-trucks would do the same. For example, the components are supposed to be simpler with a more rugged design, so that just shouts out durability, and it shouts out that the potential maintenance and the installation onto these Class 8 semi-vehicles is a lot more convenient and a lot easier than what it once was, which you would think that technology that's already fairly complicated but easy to install and maintenance is very attractive to the potential audience that they're going out towards. The second upgrade that they mentioned was a smaller net weight, and overall that's really significant because you're not adding as much weight to the actual vehicle itself, which means you're decreasing the payload that the vehicle is pulling on its own from itself, and it gives it more opportunity to increase payload of other things that it can pull, like other vehicles or trailers and stuff like that. But the one enhancement that I really appreciated the most was the enhancement of their e-axle and making it more efficient. So typically the goal of an e-axle when it comes to hybrid vehicles is to store energy for the vehicle for later use. So with Hyliion's product, it will store energy whenever the vehicle is braking or it's going downhill, and it takes that energy and it will apply it to the actual vehicle when it's going against a lot of gravity, for example, going uphill, which makes it easier for it to travel longer distances using electricity. And the ability for the e-axle to allow the vehicle to travel more with just electricity shows why it's really significant that Hyliion made the e-axle way more efficient than it once was. So personally, I really think that along with the other enhancements that they made to these components is really going to make owners of fleets of semi-trucks and Class 8 vehicles more interested to see what Hyliion potentially has to offer. But speaking of what they have to offer, besides what Thomas Healy and Hyliion Holdings displayed with their hybrid components, a lot of things that he said really made me increase my level of patience when it comes to investing into this company for the long term. Because yes, a lot of us say that we're long-term holders, which I definitely am, but at the same time, we would really like to see that stock price go up a couple of cents or even a couple of dollars per day or per week. But that's just us just trying to make a lot of money in a short period of time. I really did appreciate a lot of things that he said, including when they talked about the enhancements that they made to the hybrid components. For example, a lot of companies may make their enhancements on certain technology based on what they want their technology to do in comparison to what it currently does, which is fine, and that may create a positive response to their audience. But Thomas Healy said that the enhancements that they made on their components was based off the real-world feedback that they were presented by the fleet owners after millions of miles of experience. So that really shows that they're really concerned about what the actual fleet owners would like to have when it comes to these hybrid components, because the idea of it is really cool already, but it doesn't mean it's perfect. And the fact that Hyliion is listening to that would not only keep those fleet owners as long-time customers, but could attract other customers to join Hyliion and use their components or even their Hypertruck ERX. And speaking of the ERX, there were a few of the other representatives of the different OEM companies or the original equipment manufacturer companies that were talking about potentially using hydrogen as fuel in the very near future. I don't know too much personally about the process of using hydrogen as fuel, but I'm pretty confident that at this point it's not the easiest and it may not be the cheapest. But Thomas said that yes, Hyliion does have a potential future with using hydrogen as a source of fuel for their vehicles. But he also said that it's probably a lot simpler for the time being just to use renewable natural gas and the generators that the ERX have in their vehicles to convert that to electricity for traveling. Now, granted, when I looked up the infrastructure for RNG in the United States, I think there's a few hundred in the country, but considering that even the more recent ERX that was presented in late July or early August is supposed to be the long range variant that I believe can travel up to 1,000 miles, that shouldn't be too much of an issue when it comes to the infrastructure. So point is, there's already an infrastructure for RNG, and they already have a product that can convert that RNG into electricity using their generator. So it makes more sense for the time being to do that, but it also helps support their goal of not only creating vehicles that can support net zero emissions, but creating vehicles that can support net negative emissions. But overall, in regards to the ERX and what they presented in the expo, and just in general, I really do like the company, and I really do like Thomas Healy. I feel like he has a level head about the products that they have to offer and will have to offer in the future, and the infrastructure that can support those products. So again, with all that in mind, it's made me personally a lot more patient with this company. I'm investing to lower my dollar cost average, and I can see this company taking off within the next 5 to 10 years. And if you've been investing around this time, in my personal opinion, I really think that we will all not regret it. I feel like this company is way undervalued, and which, by the way, I can't really predict exactly how much I think it's valued, but just considering what they have to offer to society and the fact that they actually have partnerships and things like that, I really feel like this company is definitely worth more than the $8 to $9 to $10 a share that's currently been sitting at. But again, that's just my personal opinion. But guys, leave comments below. What do you guys think about Hyliion overall, especially after the ACT Expo? If you guys watched it or read any news about it, what do you guys think about Thomas Healy or the company itself in comparison to other OEM Class 8 vehicle companies? Definitely leave your comments below, because yet again, I love talking to you guys, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Speaking of videos, make sure you guys watch some of these other videos, which I hope help you guys out on your investing journey as they have in mine. Again, I appreciate you guys watching, and until next time, take care.